Hi everybody, my name is Patricia, first generation Beatles fan. This channel is called Little Beatles Corner. Today I'm going to talk about some of the mistakes that I think I made, or what I consider mistakes, when I was at the fest, in terms of things I should have filmed, basically, to show you later that I neglected to do. So I'm going to go through those, thinking back on it, things I really should have done. And then I'm going to show you the few things that I did buy at the fest. So I hope you will enjoy this little video. First of all, I got to thank everybody for sticking with the channel, whether you're newer or older or in between or subscribed or not, or just come around once in a blue moon. I really appreciate everybody and the fun that we have, and of course the friendships that I'm making on the channel. So, you're all so nice to spend your time, at all watching this. So thank you. All right, so I did go to the Fest for Beatles fans in Chicago on Saturday, August 9th. Now, it's really a 3-day affair. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday is a real short day. It starts at 5 p.m. and it ends at midnight. And it's a pretty quieter kind of night, or, day or night, or whatever you want to say. And I've been there a couple of times, and it's good. But given the price of the tickets now, I pretty much only go one day. And now, the last couple of years, I've been opting for the major day, which is Saturday. So I did go Saturday, August 9th, and here's the ticket that they issued to me in the mail. I did pre-order. He has a period of time where he sends out emails, and you can get the ticket a little bit cheaper. Now, this is a $120 ticket for one day. So I think I probably got it for maybe 110 or so. Maybe he takes a little bit of money off. And then if you buy like, multiple days, it's a little cheaper, but it's still very expensive when you buy multiple days. So anyway, so then after you show your ticket, then they give you a wristband. And this one says Fest for Beatles fans. And I'm just called it my diamond bracelet because it's all sparkly, so. So that's that. Okay, now then there's a program that you get, and it's very nicely done. It's got everything you need to know about Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, about what's happening, where it's happening, what time it's happening. The only issue with going one day is that, things do overlap, and so you really have to pick what you want to do or focus on, and you just cannot see everything that you think you might want to do. Now, the one good thing about it, I'll just mention in passing, he does offer a pass, like a Zoom thing, which is about $14, $15, where you can watch the fest on Zoom, just from the main stage, basically, not any of the video rooms or chat rooms or discussion rooms or whatever, but the main stage. So if you wanted to see the main guests and what goes on the whole day there, they gotta film, they're constantly filming that, and you can do that on YouTube if you want. So that's a good thing, which maybe that might be a thought for another time, that maybe I would not focus on the ballroom and I watch it later and focus on other things. But anyway, so that's the downside to that. But of course it's expensive, so you have to decide which way you're going to go, whether you're going to buy multiple tickets or not. Okay, so I'm going to go over, so the other thing I want to say about the fest is this. I did notice that Mark Lapidus, who's the creator and of course the owner of this fest every year, he was in a electric kind of scooter thing, going down the hallways, which are kind of longer distances because it's pretty spread out, Beatle place, hotel, but I did not notice him doing that last year. I didn't ever see him in a motorized scooter last year. So that kind of leads me to believe that, because he's, of course, older, like a lot of us are, that, his mobility definitely has become somewhat of an issue. So in that vein, it got me thinking, well, how much longer are these fests for Beatles fans really going to go on? And if I had to put my money on anything, if he was going to really continue to do them, you know, maybe he'd keep the New York one because he's a New York guy and it'd be a lot easier. But coming all the way to Chicago with all his staff and all that stuff and all that setup, that's got to be really tough, you know, regardless of which location you're in. But being far away from home, you know, that doesn't make it easy. So I'm kind of wondering whether, you know, it's going to be the end this year, next year, soon, or what. So anyway, I'd be pleasantly surprised if not. Now, I'm going to talk about briefly the things, no in particular order, about the things that I think I screwed up, I should have done something about, or I wished I had, or I missed, or whatever. So the first thing I'm going to say is I never did find Beatley Tone to say hello to him in person. Now, it's the second time I've missed him. When I was in Liverpool in December, he was there in December, and I didn't see him there either, and so I didn't go to his thing where he was, you know, involved in the discussion, so, you know, I didn't see him there. So, of course, it's so crowded on Saturday that I look for him here and there, but in the crowds and, you know, where he congregated, I don't know, but I never did get to see him, so I was really sorry about that, but maybe it's not meant to be that I'll ever get to meet him in person. I don't know, but so that's one thing. Now, the next thing is a couple people I chatted with, I should have filmed something. And I either didn't think about it or, well, probably I just didn't think about it. Why I didn't do it, I didn't come to my mind to do it. But I have to pay more attention to that if there is a next time to try to capture some more stuff that I think you might be interested in hearing. So in the marketplace, there is a guy that I don't know his name, but I did sign my name on his email list for updates. He's actually trying to get the money together to make a movie, and the movie's going to be about the Beatles' early days before Brian, involving the three men who were within the Beatles' world at that time that almost became their manager in one way or another. So those men were Sam Leach, Alan Williams, and Bob Wooler. So he wants to take the movie and, you know, talk about or show around those guys and then take it all the way up until the time that Brian becomes the actual manager. So that's kind of an interesting movie, I think. But we were talking about crowdfunding, and he said that, you know, he needs millions of dollars, so that's not going to work. He needs millionaires to sign up, so I don't know how far he's going to get, but he just is putting out another musical movie, which I neglected to even care about, so I can't tell you what that is. So obviously he's been able to do something, but anyway, I wish I had filmed that conversation because I thought you might have found that interesting. Now, the next conversation I wish I had filmed for sure is Eric Cash. Now, you know, he was nice, really nice guy. And he, you know, was gracious enough when I asked him if I could film, you know, his, you know, prints in there. He said fine, you know. So I tried to, you know, kind of do it quickly so I didn't want to outweigh my welcome or whatever. But then after that, we did have a little conversation because, you know, Chris O'Dell came into the room, which I didn't see her come in, but I had just was buying the rooftop print that he had for her to sign. So since she came in there, she signed it, and you see, there's a video about that. But anyway, after she left and everything, I asked him a couple of questions, which I should have put on film. And I did ask him about whether he sells his original paintings or not, and yes, he does. They go for tens of thousands, you know, like 10,000 or something like that. But if you got money, you can buy at least some of them. And he told me that he commissioned two paintings so far, and the one he told me about was the one I bought, was the rooftop thing. And he said that Bruce Spicer actually commissioned that to be done, and because Bruce Spicer wanted to have himself inserted in the rooftop scene somewhere. So I asked Eric, well, where was he in the print or whatever? And then he said he was up on the top or whatever. And I kind of said to Eric, well, you know, that's kind of cheesy a little bit, I said. And I think Eric might have agreed with me there. I mean, unless he was just being nice, he kind of said, yeah, you know, like, yeah, you're right or whatever. But anyway, he told me that Bruce Spicer actually paid $60,000 to have that original rooftop commissioned. So I thank Bruce for having that done, because I could have something that made sense for Chris O'Dell to sign and whatever. And it's a nice print, but I don't know. Anyway, so there's a couple of things like that that I should have filmed so people could have heard Eric Cash talking. Anyway, all right, so that's the next thing. So then I should have had a few words with Bruce Spicer, because I did talk to him for a brief minute, and we were talking about books, and I asked him if he was going to write another book, and he basically is done writing books, at least at this point, from what he can see. So if you're expecting another Bruce Spicer book to come out in the future, I think you can forget about it. So anyway, I asked him if he would ever consider writing something about Hamburg, and he said no, which is, yeah, I think he should, but you know, the Hamburg and the Cavern, I think he should, but anyway, he said no. So I wish I would have filmed that. I wish I met Mr. Beatles Pro Tom in the lobby with his brother, and we had a long conversation, and I wish I had put him on film so he could have said hello to everybody and whatever, and I totally neglected to do that, which I'm really sorry about. So hopefully I'll run into Tom again at another Beatle thing. I'm going to do it if he'll let me. So that's that. And then the last thing that I think was a mistake on my part, that I didn't try to get any conversation with Jim McCarty of the Yardbirds. Now, I know he's not like a total Beatles thing, but he is in a way, and I brought Yardbirds 45s, but I got waylaid by Chris O'Dell. I'm going to kind of say that, talk about that next, but I should have tried to have a little conversation with him, and I didn't, and film that, and okay, get his autograph on a 45, but no, hopefully next time. So those are my major things. Now, if you can think of anything else you think I should have done, you know, I'm going to put it on my list of things to do if there is a next time. So let me know. All right, so now I'm going to talk about what I bought. So I've got people's cards. So I'm going to show you, this is Eric Cash's card. And he's ericcashillustration.com, and then he also has an email there. So if you want to go there, you can probably see all the stuff that he has. I paid $125 for my rooftop thing, and I think that's the basic rate. I think if there's something bigger, it might be a little bit more, but I didn't inquire about that. So that's Eric Cash. And then I got Paul Saltzman's card. Now, he's another person I should have talked to. He's another mistake, I will say. Now, he was nice, but he wasn't as open, I don't think, for conversation as Eric was. But maybe I could have done something. He was really nice too about letting me film his India prints for, you know, the little video. With both of those men didn't have to do that, so I really do thank them for their generosity. But I think not saying something to also was another problem. All right, so that's that. And then the third card that I have that you might be interested in is called RingoStarArt.com. And this is Neil Glazer from Celebrity Art. And he's located, I believe, somewhere in Pennsylvania, I think. And he comes to the fest with all the high-end stuff that I did show in one video. Now, he is a, like, official person who oversees selling Ringo's art. And I think Paul's art, you know, from his paintings, he's got the signed lithographs or whatever. I think he's involved in that, at least in the United States. And then he has other art, Beatles art, that he's acquired, you know, whether it's Linda McCartney, signed stuff from way back when, or bag one, you know, lithographs from way back when, some Yoko stuff, you know, that of course would be, you know, not as old, stuff like that. So, of course, I was interested in something that was very expensive. I wanted a Linda McCartney thing, photo lithograph that was Paul McCartney in like a, excuse me, a military vehicle, but that was $9,000, so that was not going to happen. And his bag one stuff was, you know, I don't even know what the price of that was. Anyway, nice to look at. Actually, the Ringo art, if you go to the fest, I think he sells whatever he brings as far as the Ringo art a little bit cheaper than what he sells on his website, because you can go on his website and find prices of what he has. And I think he did tell me he does reduce the prices because it is the fest, and you know, it's Beatle people and whatever. So maybe I should have had a conversation with him too to put out there for people to get to know him if they're interested in whatever. Nah, I'll put that on my list for next time. So that's that. All right, so I'm going to show you what I got from, you know, Neil Glazer. I didn't buy anything super expensive, but I bought this colorized photo of the guys in the cavern. And Neil told me that this was actually a black and white photo. Apple purchased it. I think he may have the negative to this, and he colorized it. So I paid $195 for this, you know, because I had to pay tax and whatnot. And I really don't like the way it's framed, so I might wind up taking it out. I don't know. So that's that. And then my friend Polly got the other one. There was two of them that kind of went together. And this is the Casbah Club with John and Cynthia and Paul. Now, she couldn't take this home, so I have to find a box and mail it to her at some point. So, they're pretty nice, though. Especially if you like the early period, you know, it's nice to have. I like cavern stuff, so. All right, so now the next thing I'm going to show you is I did buy Bruce Spizer's book, his last book he's ever going to do, and it's this one with these 4 albums. And I buy them at the fest from him because I avoid shipping charges and I avoid tax. So he signs whatever you want. And I don't really get my stuff personalized too much. Really, I don't anymore at all. So he just signed his name and the date. And it's like his other books, you know, full of photos and so much information. It's take you forever to get through it, but talks about the history of what was going on at the time. He's got other artists in here that were popular, you know. Well, there's something about help. So these books are well worth it. They're really nicely done, and as I say, if you're collecting them, you've got to get the last one. So that's that. That's $40. Now, I bought a CD from the Fest Marketplace and from Mark Lapidus' people. And it's I still seal. It's called Letters from Mum. I've been looking for this for a couple of months, ever since I found out about it. And it's something Louise Harrison, George's sister, put out. And what it is that she supposedly is reading letters that her mother wrote to her, because they were kind of like pen pals after Louise went to the United States. So because I'm interested in George's mother, and I, you know, recently bought, you know, some George Harrison's mother's letters that she wrote to fans, this kind of goes along with that, so I'm really looking forward to that. And there was only one of these. I'm like, this was meant for me, so there you go. So that was only $10, so I was really happy. Now, the other thing is an autographed issue. All right, so I had an autograph issue regarding Chris O'Dell. So, you know, we met her in Rare Cash's room, got our our pieces signed that we wanted the rooftop thing. And then, you know, she was supposed to pretty much after that go pretty much to her signing table. And so we went there. It was supposed to be 1:30, and we must have stood there with other people for an hour, and she never came. So I was wondering whether there was really something happened to her or what. And so I went around looking for the staff and ran into Mark Lapidus, who called her. And she came out right away after that, but it was almost at the end of her signing time. So apparently Chris got her signing times mixed up, and she was actually in the video room where her documentary was being played, and I guess she thought she was going to do the signing after that rather than the 1:30 time, which was probably in conjunction with the video, you know, the documentary even running. I don't know what time that started, but so she came out, and then she basically said she would come right back in about 15 minutes because it was almost over, whatever. And there was these two older people there who couldn't stay, so they were really, you know, upset because they thought they were not going to get to see her or whatever. So I asked Chris if she would sign her stuff, and because they couldn't stay and whatever, and she graciously did, and then she left. So we were back in line, and she did come out, and so that was like, took a long time. So that's the same time that other people were had their signing times, and so you didn't know whether to get out of line or not or what, and so that was a little bit of a problem, and it turned out to be something that really kind of screwed up my signing schedule idea. So anyway, but you know, I don't blame her because it was an honest mistake. So anyway, when I got to finally get her, I got this sign, which was a photo of her and George. Now, last year she did not have this. She only had her book. And actually, last year I did mention to her that she should have other stuff for people to buy, because people have her book, they don't have anything to buy. So maybe she, you know, I don't know if she took my advice or she just decided it was time to do it or what. So now she did charge $50 for this, which was a little pricey. And I noticed that Eddie Deason charged $50. And Peter Asher charged more. So, you know, they're not as cheap, I guess I'll just say, as they were in the past. And I mean, I know they have to sit around and spend their time and make money and whatever, but in the real old days, you could just go up and get anything signed you wanted. You didn't have to pay anything. And then it became, well, they brought their own stuff, and, you know, you pay $20 to get something or whatever. But, you know, if I wanted just this, because it was her and George, I had to pay $50. If I wanted some other stuff, it was cheaper, but I don't know. Now, she said this was a limited amount. I don't know how true that is either, but so I did pay $50. So now I also asked her to sign this 45 for a friend. His name's Kevin. He watches the channel. And so I told him I was going to show this before I sent it out. So she just signed her name with a little heart. She was nice enough to ask me whether or not I wanted to personalize it, and I totally didn't think about asking Kevin this, so I decided against it and just had her sign her name. So I hope Kevin is okay with that. But anyway, so she actually signed 3 times for me, if you consider the rooftop thing in the Eric Cash room for $50. So I'm not complaining, but I think I've got what I need. Oh, and the other thing is that I had a little conversation about her that I didn't film. I had brought her a tote bag with Chicago places on there, like a tourist bag, a souvenir bag. It was pretty nice, though. And she told me that her mother was from Chicago, which I thought was interesting. So she seemed to like the gift. I wanted to give her a gift because she's always so nice when she comes to the fest. I specifically bought it for her, and she was really surprised that I was giving her something. But anyway, that's that story. I didn't do anything with either. All right, so the only other autograph, and so I do have the poster of the rooftop, but honestly, I'm not going to get it out until it's framed, and then I'll show you. I don't want to mess it up. That was $125 for that poster. So Eric Cash signed it, and then Chris signed it. So now I also went to Peter Asher, and I got this one. Now he had his CDs of his singles, the Peter and Gordon singles, which I have. He had a new Barbra Streisand thing because he produced the Barbra Streisand album or whatever. And some other stuff, but I chose this. And I don't know if I paid $30 or $50 for this. I want to say maybe $50, but I'm not sure. But it was a little bit up there too compared to what, you know, the signature requests from the main people used to be. So, all right, so I think that's all I bought, and I hope you enjoy watching my little tale of woe and what I bought. So come back and visit again. Of course, Beatles forever.